Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And on today's Going In Raw News Brief, is Daniel Bryan pushing for more NXT call-ups? We've got an injury update for Nick Jackson, and we preview SmackDown. But first, is Jay White actually done with New Japan? Larson, what's in the news?
So after Jay White, you sound very earnest there asking about that. What's in the news?
This is actually
You're very concerned.
This is kind of shocking to me, Larson. What is in the news?
What is in the news? This is in the news, Steve. So after Jay White's loss to Kota Ibushi main event, night 2, Wrestle Kingdom 15, Jay said in his post-match comments that after New Year's Dash, he said, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Done.
Yeah.
Sacrifice. I like that. That's been picked up where he's slamming it. Did you ever watch the whole thing yet?
No, not yet.
All right.
I need to. Don't look down on me like that. He's not actually leaving. That's a work. He's not actually leaving, is he?
I don't know, because Super J-Cast took to Twitter saying this, quote, several sources have indicated there is some doubt whether Jay White will extend his New Japan Pro Wrestling contract, rumored to be up at the end of the month. WWE are believed to be making a strong play for him, and it's 50-50 whether he stays or goes. So following up on Super J-Cast report, WrestleVotes tweeted, quote, lots of Jay White WWE rumors swirling, and I could say with certainty that a few of the boys have went out of their way to speak highly of him, and that resonates with some more than others. It's game time.
Oh,
games in quotes. Of course,
yeah.
Triple H is the game.
I that's not a good move to go there. I don't think it's a good move. I don't think it would be a good move for him to go to AEW either. I think that he's so perfect. He is great. Like, look, when he debuted as Switchblade, we were like, wow, this is a great starting point. He's not grizzled enough. He's grizzled now, but he's doing some really, really great work. And New Japan has seemingly like put a rocket to his back.
Yeah.
And like sent him to the moon. It's like, yeah, he didn't win at Wrestle Kingdom, but that's because Kota Ibushi is a god.
But also because New Japan, they utilize long-term storytelling that in 2 years, that loss will make a lot more sense, and his loss at Wrestle Kingdom this year will actually lead to something. That's generally how they approach their storylines.
Yeah, these days I sort of temper expectations on that because they put the titles on Evil for a second. At that point, I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, not every creative decision is gold, but I think by and large how they do the creative in the main event scene in New Japan is interesting. Not always great.
Well, it's not
interesting.
It's not it's not WWE. I like when I watch New Japan, which admittedly I don't get to nearly as much as I do. The wrestling is spectacular. The storylines are definitely interesting because they don't adhere. They're not forced to adhere to twists and turns every single week. I mean, just by necessity, understanding understanding that their shows are, run on a big show to big show basis. They plan out their stories are just told differently. Like it is totally interesting the way they do that. And like you said, like not every booking decision is, I find, appealing or even, understandable. That being said, Jay White is such a great fit in New Japan. Like it just really feels like he belongs there. Now, he's a big boy. It's absolutely on him to test out the market for sure. And hopefully he tries up his value and hopefully he lands where he wants to land. I mean, for all we know, WWE is the thing for him, and he feels that he's in a spot. Maybe he feels that he's not going to get hotter than this, but dude, it wasn't he like 26 or something like that?
He's 28.
He's 28. Yeah. I mean,
still super young.
Yeah,
super young.
That's really young.
And to accomplish what he has at such a young age already is pretty remarkable. And as you said, New Japan seems to be 100% behind him.
Yeah.
For good reason, because he's a super talented dude.
Don't you just wait out Vince? I mean, even if Vince can't be around in like 6 years, right? When Jay's 34, which is like, prime for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, wait till he's gone.
I don't know.
Wait till he's gone, man.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know.
Maybe he wants to surf.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Again, it's what he, at the end of the day, it's what he wants, what he thinks is best for his career.
Yeah.
we've both really enjoyed seeing his work in New Japan, seeing him evolve as a performer in the span of 2 years since he's debuted as 3 years, I guess.
Has it already been 3 now?
Yeah, since he debuted as Switchblade. He's so comfortable in that role. He's so good.
Yeah.
You really should watch his backstage comments after his loss to Kota Ibushi. They're really good. It's really good.
The thing is, that's not going to be how it, like, his in-ring will translate wherever he goes. But I also kind of feel like there is a stark difference between how promos are cut with English-speaking performers and even how backstage their little press conference promos are done, versus the traditional, American way of cutting promos and doing interviews. And I mean, honestly, I see it sort of in the same manner as I don't think Kenny Omega's promos are nearly as effective in AEW, even though he's being the same character now as he was in New Japan from when he was in New Japan. I just think that there's a difference in how they try to get their promos across, and it's difficult to explain in words, really. But there's a difference in how they do it.
There is, to an extent. I think there's one aspect of it that's different, and that seemingly the post-match comments in New Japan shows. It's all about, first and foremost, it seems about moving the story forward, moving character forward.
Yeah.
Whereas the American approach, I can't remember who said this. I think it was Paul Heyman talked about it, where he was talking about cutting a promo and he thought it was really good. He goes backstage and someone gives him crap for it because he didn't sell the show.
Yeah, sure.
I think for an American, based on storytelling, is you have an arc that leads to a pay-per-view. Your goal is to get people to tune in the pay-per-view and spend money on the pay-per-view, or a different sense, to get people to want to show up, buy tickets. You're trying to sell a product, essentially. And I think the ultimate goal in American, for American promos, the whole point of that is to sell a product, whether that's yourself, whether that's the brand, whether it's a pay-per-view. I don't know if that's necessarily the overarching goal with these backstage comments. I think that's one difference.
Yeah. I mean, I think that in New Japan, what I see when they do that is a true simulation of a sport. Where in WWE and AEW, I don't see that. I don't think that's the goal. I think the goal is to be entertaining. I don't think the goal isn't to be entertaining in New Japan. I just feel that they view entertainment as simulating an actual sport.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think that also translates to like backstage comments. I think it translates to, and especially I think it translates like when they're in the ring, there is more of an efficiency in vocabulary. And so they have to make what they say more effective when they're doing like a post-match challenge, for example. And in WWE, they don't really care about that stuff.
No,
in AEW, they don't care about that stuff.
No, especially in WWE, they'll belabor the point. They'll talk in circles for minutes before getting to what the.
But I mean, we've seen that in AEW too. They say it's in AEW, or I'm sorry, in WWE and AEW, it's, hey, here's the mic, you have 5 minutes.
X number of minutes, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In New Japan, it's get your point across. And then you're good. There really isn't much belaboring. I mean, sometimes if you're a heel, you'll like Kenny used to belabor the point a bit when he was like a bad guy, but in New Japan. But yeah, I don't know. Look, whatever is good for him is great. WWE, they want him. Wherever he ends up, I hope that they'll make the most of what he can bring to the table, because as we've seen, it's been great. But I don't know that Vince McMahon is the guy to be calling those shots, dude. Look at what they did with Aleister Black. I always go back to that. Like, yeah, there's been plenty of other success stories in WWE. You have Aleister Black. You don't know what to do with him, and you're going to bring in somebody else of his caliber. It's like a complete package. You're not. No, man, no.
Well, let's skip ahead to this next story because I think it kind of somewhat relates. So, in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer talks about the recent reports that Damian Priest is in line for main roster call-up, and notes, quote, Daniel Bryan in particular with his role in creative has been pushing to bring in more NXT talent to SmackDown to freshen things up. But the counter has been the track record of everyone brought up in the last 2 years from NXT and how Vince ends up losing interest in them, and that there is a roster full of guys who could be used that aren't even on television now. Which, of course, the latter half of this about the more recent track record is true, but that's the way this is phrased. And if that's the mentality backstage, it's almost like they're powerless to do anything about that. Like, it's in theory, the possibility exists they could change that track record.
Well,
they could bring up someone from NXT and actually do something with them.
I mean, this is a weird quote anyways, because who's countering that? Like, who's like Daniel Bryan is backstage saying, hey, we need to bring up more guys. Mm-hmm. But the counter to that is they're not used great.
Yeah.
I mean, is somebody making that case backstage? Like, I don't know. I don't even understand this quote really.
That's the gist I get, but I don't know who would be the one backstage. Like, well, we can't call them up because they're not used correctly.
Yeah, right. That'd be a weird thing to like. You know, I mean, it's true.
I mean,
but
yeah, I mean, it's 100% true. But also in here, Meltzer talks about. I don't know if you'd heard this. It kind of came out earlier in the week from Meltzer about how Priest, he's supposed to debut initially on last week's SmackDown, and they were going to have this storyline where he was going to be tagging or helping out Kevin Owens, like he was supposed to be his friend or something.
Yeah,
and basically everybody involved, Owens and Reigns, were like, well, this doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Was
I didn't hear that part. That was the pushback from them saying,
yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So let's just not do it. And there's nothing in here that Daniel Bryan was the one who pitched the idea of Damian Priest necessarily being Kevin Owens' friends. That's nowhere in here is that indicated. Just that Daniel Bryan is pushing to bring up more NXT talent. So I mean, I guess in one sense, it's nice that if Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns feel like, from a creative standpoint, story beats being pushed upon them by creative aren't working or don't make sense because they're 100% right. That wouldn't make any sense.
It wouldn't make any sense.
Then that's Kevin Owens' whole story. He has no friends because he betrayed them all.
Yeah. And
then poof, one just materializes from NXT. Doesn't make any sense.
Hey, how's he going?
With no history, doesn't make any sense.
Does anybody want to donate?
Yeah. So I mean, I appreciate that they feel like, okay, this isn't going to work. This doesn't make any sense. Let's think of something else.
Mm-hmm.
That's good that they feel like they have that equity with creative or with Vince to go up to him and say, let's think of another way to do this.
Yeah.
But but at the same time, the track record of late with NXT call-ups have not been great.
Each show, each brand, Raw, SmackDown, NXT's fine. I watched NXT UK this morning. That was fun. I might make that a Friday tradition. Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. Like, each show desperately needs its own culpable, accountable showrunner that is not answerable to Vince, and they all need to be under 50. I mean, seriously, that's a fact, or even under 60. Like, I don't know, Daniel Bryan, have him run SmackDown. have I don't know who else run Raw. Triple H, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's bizarre to me that the biggest wrestling company in the world, and like they can't get the simplest things down right. Like, it wouldn't make any sense. Oh, I have no friends, and then, hey, how's it going? Who are you?
Hi, I'm your best friend, Damian Priest.
Remember when we were kids being best friends? I'm bringing my childhood best friend, Damian Priest. Hey, how's it going, Kevin? Remember we were in Boy Scouts together? Yes, I do remember that. All right, let's talk about this one. Speaking of best friends, Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins, nobody ever accused them of being best friends, but that might actually happen because Fightful Select, and go subscribe to Fightful Select.
Go subscribe to Fightful Select.
They just put this story up today, and usually we like to let Fightful Select get that money and let these stories breathe, but this is sort of a small little gossipy bit here. That's kind of it's a feel-good story. Fightful Select issued a report today which suggests that Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins may have squashed their beef, stating that they were told that Riddle and Rollins seemingly discussed their issues. And apparently Riddle apologized to Rollins for some disparaging comments his wife made about Becky Lynch. The last time we saw them even in the same proximity was Seth Rollins' last match. It was a Survivor Series match where Matt Riddle and him were on opposite teams, and they very conspicuously were not near each other in that match at all. Seth Rollins had an early exit when he decided to give himself the finger poke of doom, basically. But yeah, so apparently they have maybe squashed their beef. I hope that's the case. I mean, these are two of the best in-ring competitors we've had of this generation. It would be a shame if we never got to see them actually interact in a match together. But Seth Rollins, obviously, I mean, that stuff is out in the public. You could see what Matt Riddle's wife said about, his wife, and some apologizing, I would think needed to happen.
Yeah, would be in order. Would be in order. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would be in order.
Yeah.
Last bit of news before we get to our SmackDown preview. So following, I think shortly after this week's Dynamite on Wednesday, Wrestling Observer's Bryan Alvarez reporting that one half of the AEW Tag Team Champions, Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks, feared that he may have suffered a broken leg following a spot with Jack Evans during the opening bout. Again, a Dynamite is a bit where Jack Evans does the 630 and Nick gets his knees up. And I guess he got through the rest of the match. But it was explained here that's why Nick didn't do a super kick at the end when Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison got their hands on Kenny anyway. So late yesterday, however, Alvarez said that nope, Jackson has not broken his leg, instead dealing with a leg contusion. So that's good.
All right, that's good, because here I've got treatment for a leg contusion. You wrap your thigh with a wet bandage to insulate the skin. Frequently ice the injury for 10 to 30 minutes. Use crutches for second and third degree contusions. Isometric exercises while using ice. Stretching and a thigh sleeve. So none of that seems terribly invasive, Larson. That's good.
Well, I wonder if the contusion is like on his shin or something.
Oh yeah, that could be too.
He got his knees up,
Lots of ice and wrap.
Yeah, ice and rest.
Good to go, Nick. You'll be good. That dude is terrific in the ring, man. He's really terrific.
You got that right.
You know what else is terrific? SmackDown on a week-to-week basis.
Man.
I am actually a big fan of SmackDown. Same. Tonight on SmackDown, Street Profits take on Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode in a SmackDown Tag Team title match. Another one? Didn't they do a tag title match last week?
That was a non-title match.
Was that a non-title match?
I thought so.
On Christmas it was a tag title match.
Oh, okay. Well, they came in on last week's show and beat up the Street Profits. So I guess they earned themselves another title opportunity.
Good job. Well done.
Also, Apollo Crews, the Challenge Intercontinental Champion, Big E, for the Intercontinental title.
I know we didn't review SmackDown last week because it was New Year's.
No, it's a fun show.
Apollo, yeah, he had a little great. That was a really cool little moment for Apollo. I'm glad he's getting some screen time. No way he's going to win this, but maybe it'll keep him on TV in some way, shape, or form. Maybe Sammy's going to come out and interfere or something like that.
I hope so. Because I really enjoyed much of Apollo Crews' U.S. title reign over on Raw. I thought they actually gave him a real opportunity to showcase what he could do, and I thought he did great.
Every time.
It'd be a bummer. Yeah. It'd be a bummer for him to get drafted to SmackDown and get kind of lost in the shuffle again.
Every time he's on the screen and he has an opportunity to do something, he does a really good job with it. Give him something meaty to chew on, man.
Yep.
All right. Anyways, that's going to do it for us. Hopefully you'll join us live tonight at twitch.tv/Steven Larson for our SmackDown recap, because those are always a lot of fun. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Help support Going In Raw today by becoming a Friendo Club TV member. You'll get access to new bonus episodes every week, including Friendo Club Arcade, Live Power Rank, Vintage 10 for the Wins, and Ask Steven Larson. Get access to Friendo Club TV today by becoming a $5 and up patron at patreon.com/Steven Larson, by throwing us a sub at twitch.tv/Steven Larson, or by clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson.